about lies. He specifically, Orson made an example. He asked Tasteless whether or not he thinks that I lie, right? And it's pointed out that you can't have access to my intentional states. And they said no, because you can ask me questions or make an inference about my previous behavior.
Oh, an inference. That's direct.
Right. And I said that's just inductive. It's not deductive. And he said no, it is necessarily the case that I'm lying.
What does he mean by lying?
Yeah, I said the words, but tasteless. It's not necessarily the case that I'm lying. And he said, no, it is.
He's back.
God damn it, are you still talking about me, dude? Or fucking something else.
God damn it.
Taste, this is like Christmas for Seth, you know what I mean?
It really is.
Without a guardian,
So what you're saying is that, you guys are just exhibiting your biases against me, and you're happy that you get to confirmate some of your self-validating models.
You said a lot of
Doesn't that make you happy that you make other people happy, Tasteless?
And why would it make me happy to make other people happy? In general. I am happy making people I care happy, not necessarily everyone. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Tasteless, do you have access to my intentional states?
No, to be honest, I don't really care. But listen, man. If you think if you're going to say, "Wow, you cannot prove me or anything of the things that I do or for X reason," and you're going to feel happy about it. I don't do it. At this point,
Bobby.
are the ones exhibiting exactly what your intentions are and exactly what you're coming from, exactly your motivations. I mean, at this point, man, you're just trying to I don't know, fool people, fool yourself. I don't know what
you said. It's necessarily the case that I'm lying.
Oh, I didn't said that. That is strong.
Oh my God!
Who said that?
Oh fuck!
Do you have the recording? Go ahead.
No, I do.
Go ahead, play the recording.
You're telling me that when I play the recording, you're not going to say those words or affirm that
that's
question?
different, right? Affirm that you did lie. Yeah, that's different, right?
No. Affirm
was necessarily the case that you lied. No.
No. For example, it could either be you saying it is necessarily the case that Tom lied, or I can say, so Tasteless, is it necessarily the case that I lied? And then you say yes.
No,
those would both prove that you fucking said it.
That is a straw man. And I said that you have lied virtue on the fact that you accepted that you lied. Right? That was what I was saying.
Even that doesn't prove it.
You can prove
that doesn't prove it either.
With the fucking conversation.
I could be lying with that, idiot.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't show it.
You can say
it doesn't show it deductively.
You don't get me to accept something obvious. That's fine, man. I am not trying to get you to accept anything. It is not going to be a rational position. It is not going to be a syllogism that proves how you're dishonest.
Hold on a second.
This is not proven in terms of rationality. This is proven in terms of empirical evidence.
I think I might know what's going on. Tasteless. What do you think Tom meant by necessary? No, I don't want to hear Matt. I don't want to hear how I'm terrible. I just want to know. I just want to know. I just want to know what you think Tom meant by necessarily the case.
Okay, when he means now? Is that what you're asking? When he's saying,
give me both ways. Give me both ways.
I can tell you what I think he means. Go ahead. Give me the context so that I can tell you what I think.
It's clear Tasteless is misguided because he said it's empirically necessary.
Oh shit!
What? I never said that. The fuck's wrong with you?
What do you look
in the same position?
It's clear that you guys have a model of interpretation that is going to be self-validating, right? You want to think that.
Tasteless. Hold on a second.
Hold on. Ahead.
Tasteless. Could you ever know? No. Stop.
What you think?
You didn't answer my question. You didn't answer my question, Tasteless. No, you never answered my question. I just want. I want to clarify my
question that I don't care to answer. So
you can't answer it.
It is going to be the case that you guys operate in the following sense. You will make up your mind about something.
Just say confirmation bias. Just save us all about 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, exactly, man. No, but
confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias is such as people like Seth They will say that you don't need to hold a previous stance for it not to fucking idiot, right? For you to confirmate it. This is how fucking dumb
that's
these
true.
people are. So fucking Seth was saying that that wasn't the case. So I'm sorry, Andricus, for me trying to explain and unpack these terms that are obscure for some people who
Unpack
claim to be
necessarily
intelligent,
the
such as
case
fucking
for me.
Seth, right?
Unpack necessary for me.
I don't know why. I mean, dude, who cares about this issue? You or me?
Why?
Well, we
You.
both do
Okay,
because you
so
said.
I don't care.
Well, we both
I don't
do
give a fuck.
because early in a conversation today, it was reported to me that you said that you could know in any case
Are
that
you
it's
skeptical that I
necessarily
know?
the case
So
that
are you
Tom
skeptical that
lied.
I know? Are you
I
skeptical that
want
I
to
know
know
what
how you
necessarily
know that it's
means?
necessarily the case.
I am asking, are you skeptical that I know what necessarily means? Give me something that I can win so I can, maybe put some effort into this fucking answer, right? If you're going to say that you don't believe that I know what necessarily means in this case, right? Or what he meant by necessarily, right? But you can have like a hypothesis at least so I can disprove it, right? For me to be interesting. So give me something. What are you
I
saying?
think you're stalling. I think you're stalling.
Oh, I think you're afraid, right? Because if you're going to make the assertion that I don't know what it is, I can tell you, I know,
No,
dude.
the problem
Are
is
you, are you,
is
you don't believe that? You don't believe that I know? Well, then
the
say it.
problem
You
is
guys need to
tasteless.
step into the pit. I'm sick of this. Fight to the death
Say
between
it.
Death and Tasteless. Do it.
Seth, go ahead.
No, I think you stalled long enough.
So do I know or do I not know?
I think I've stalled long enough. I think you had plenty of
Well,
time to
what do
Google
you
in the
think? Give me
meantime.
your
So
hypothesis or the reason why you asked me this question, this dumb question.
I'm not convinced that you know.
Oh, you're not convinced. So you're saying that I don't know.
I'm saying I'm not
Yes.
convinced. And I'm also saying you've had time to look it up since.
So why it doesn't matter, man. I know. I am telling you that I know. And why should I care if you're skeptical about it?
Well, if you
Tasteless, do you
knew,
think anyone
and
in
I
here
would have.
believes you?
Well, maybe if you can tell me how relevant it is, how central
If
to any point is. Go ahead.
if I knew, or sorry, if asking you that is a clear implication that you didn't know, and
Did
if
I
you did
say
know, you
necessarily? No,
answered
I
it,
didn't. I
and
know
you
it.
answered it, and you answered it plainly and immediately, then you would have shown the room that I thought ill about you for no good reason,
It doesn't
and
matter.
that would have
You
chipped away
think
at my
bad of me
prestige a little bit.
without reason, Seth. It doesn't matter, man. That is not going to change anything. You have been shown plenty
Yeah, you
evidence to
don't
you
you don't
for you
know,
to see the
Tasteless.
reality, and you'd still claim to your own previous stance. Said you are a self-validating maggot. I fucking accept that.
Well, that's not
Right? See yourself
self-validating.
in the mirror. Say, "Oh, you're
I gave
such a
you a
goddamn
chance.
maggot, man."
I
Just
gave you
say
a
it.
chance to say
Accept it.
otherwise, right?
And fucking live with it. I live with you. I know I have these notions about you, Seth. And I don't give a
Self-validating
fuck. I feel bad for
maggot.
you, right? But at the same time, dude, well, there is no way you're going to change, right? You're much too into that shit for you to be able to actually correct. Listen, man, your whole worldview will crumble if you accept any of this shit,
What
right?
does
It is
necessarily the
like a
case
house of
mean?
cards. This is why you protect so much your fucking model, because any fucking part of it, right, that doesn't follow, then the whole thing collapses, right,
What does
under
necessarily the
so
case
fucking
mean,
weight.
Tasteless?
This is why you will be so defensive, Seth. Jesus, man.
All of that, because I asked him, what does it mean for something to be necessarily the case?
Well, listen, man. If there's a reason you're asking, right? You can tell, hey, man, I don't think there's. Then you can give me something that I can actually feel like, oh, I'm going to prove this idiot
Tasteless, why don't you
otherwise.
answer the question?
we actually have a
Why don't you?
reason to
Because it is
believe
not important to me. I never made the
tasteless.
claim.
Wait, so
I
you're
never
admitting
made
that
any
you're
claims
ignoring the
about
question?
necessarily. Yeah, it is like a dude, coming out of the dark with a strange question. Just give me
Can
one,
you just
a
like
reason
answer it
or
real
something
quick
to
though?
me for
You
answering
can
this
just
stuff.
spit it out.
Yeah,
What?
Tasteless,
You
can
can
you
just
just
spit it out
answer
though,
it,
right?
please? Come on.
Okay, so yeah. Okay, for something to be necessarily the case, it means that there is certain rules that are going to
That wasn't
define,
the question.
what follows, what doesn't follow. So for something to be necessarily the case, it means that within the set of rules that are determining the interactions between two events, right, are necessarily the case. That means that it cannot be the case that effect is not going to be taking place. So in order for something to be necessarily the case, it has to comply with a rule. It has to be, follow a particular rule that is accepted either in virtue of our determination logically or empirically the case, right? That this is correct. Now,
No.
I think, dude.
Tasteless, are you
Oh,
the one
it is
that I was
not? No,
talking to
maybe
about
I'm incorrect. So
necessary?
show, Seth, go ahead and tell me how I'm wrong. Go ahead.
It's empirically
things that are
necessary,
necessary.
guys.
Things that are necessarily the case could not fail to be the case. They are the case in all possible worlds.
It's impossible for
This
it to
is a
not be the
lame
case.
fucking explanation.
Tasteless, wait, let me just make sure.
Tasteless.
Tasteless, are you the one that said that averages are necessarily the case?
I what?
Let's say that women on average are dumber than men. Are you saying that women are necessarily dumber than men?
No.
Who was that? I thought that was you making that claim the
fuck,
other
dude?
day.
Okay, so now that
God
you know
damn
what
it, man,
necessary
no.
means, is it necessarily the case that
I never said it was necessarily the case. I said that in virtue of the evidence that we have and you accepting that you did this,
Okay,
it
I'll play it
was
for
a
you.
fucking lie, that
I'll
you
play it
have
for
lied
you.
in the past. Yes.
I'll play it. We'll in this you'll either say like you will either be asked if it's necessarily the case that I lied and you will affirm it, or you will say the
Go ahead.
words. Okay. It's processing right now.
Okay. It doesn't matter. So Orson asked me, has Tom lied? And said, yeah. He has. Now, is it how can you prove it? He said, dude, he fucking said so. Right? Yesterday, he fucking said so.
That
He
doesn't
So
said yes.
falsify it.
did you
Now,
say it or not,
now
Tasteless?
it has nothing to do
matter.
necessarily. In this case, Tom being whatever thing he is, it is not going to be in virtue of some rational fucking argument.
Did you
It is
say
going
it
to
or
be
not,
in virtue
Tasteless?
of evidence and fucking empirical proof that this is the case. Now, this isn't a fucking syllogism, my friend. For a person to be a fucking idiot, deluded, or whatever, it is not in virtue of a fucking argument.
What are you
It
talking
is in virtue
about?
of evidence, period. The truth of the matter is in virtue of evidence, and this is just the case.
All right, it's at 95%. You're gonna. It's only 3 minutes long or something.
So we want to listen to it.
The problem is there's a bunch of League of Legends noises in the background, so you're just gonna have to bear with me.
That's fine.
Joe, does it make sense to say this? You have evidence for something being necessarily the case, unless you mean by evidence is like just an argument.
Let's hear it.
No, what
It
you
is
said.
currently playing, but
There's
people
no
are talking.
evidence that could be put forward that would show that hypothesis is true or false. There's no
Okay,
possible evidence.
Why would you believe it? Why would you believe it if it's unfalsifiable?
I don't know. People believe unfalsifiable shit all the time.
Yeah, but what's the reason for that?
Well, it can be
What?
it can be deducible from a set of axioms, right, Tasteless?
I don't know. So if your set of
This is
axioms,
a
if
conversation
it
that we were
doesn't
having
give
with
you any
Shaman.
predictabilities,
Here's a good example.
it
Let me
doesn't
give you an
inform
example.
you of anything of
Before-
the world.
Tasteless? How
Before
about
you
intention?
Why
ramble
hold that?
Before you ramble about something you clearly don't understand, let me give an example, right? It's generally said that religion as presented here is unfalsifiable, right? Because there's no evidence that somebody could put forward in the mind of some presuppositionalist retard that would be just confirmatory towards the God hypothesis, right? The reason being, they're going to respond to that evidence by giving some post hoc account of how it's not actually evidence. That's what we generally mean when we say unfalsifiable.
Also,
Well,
Tasteless, let me ask you, Tasteless, let me ask you,
Unfalsifiable
do you
means it
think,
cannot proven to be true or false.
Tasteless, do you think that Tom has ever lied?
Yeah, of course.
That's unfalsifiable.
That's incorrect.
Oh, you have a
Do you
way
have
to
access to
analyze
his
my intentional
intentions?
states?
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Well, you basically yesterday. Well, intentions are exhibited on behavior, right? Behavior and the way you act exhibits the intentions behind it, especially when you're talking about
Not
a trend
necessarily.
of actions. Yeah,
That's an inductive
necessarily.
inference.
necessarily. Now you can play dumb
I mean
afterwards, and that's
necessarily.
fine.
That's stupid.
But at the time,
The funny part is this would
Fuck.
directly
assuming
apply
that
to
you're acting,
Tasteless's intentions
assuming
on
that you're acting
siding with
naturally,
people.
and assuming that you're not trying to skew the results.
You're literally
yeah,
you're literally
behavior-
claiming that you have access to people's
behaviors-
intentional states.
No. Assuming that at the time, let's say for instance, if you were to be or try to be tested right now, you having this knowledge would affect the behaviors that you're trying to
That doesn't help you. That makes it
just
more
to skew the
unfalsifiable.
results
That means
of
it can't be
the
tested, idiot.
method. However, if you're talking about behaviors exhibited in the past, assuming that the person has no knowledge of that his behavior is going to be studied, right? Those behaviors can be studied to determine what the intentions were at the time. So, make no mistakes about it. This is fucking doable. Now, for you to say that you didn't lie, right? It is your case that you accepted that you lied, right?
He's
We
a
have the
fucking
evidence
idiot.
to show that you lied.
Ridiculous.
Yesterday, you said that you had an agreement with me, right? You knew what the agreement was about, and you specifically and misleadingly, right, did or fulfilled the agreement based on the fact that you knew what was going to happen eventually, and you played that card. So you actually lied and portrayed something to be the case when you knew it wasn't the case. So that was a fucking lie. And you accepted this yesterday.
Yeah,
So,
I
the
could even
question
say
is-
something that wouldn't
The
prove
answer
it.
is yes. Tom has lied. So what follows?
No, the answer is you don't know that. And also, it's a double standard to say that we can't know if you're like we don't have access to your intentions, but you have access to Tom's.
What? Well, dude, listen. You can determine whether, if you have a series of assumptions, right, about a person's, motivations, and those motivations, in this case, if it was the case that what Tom is saying is accurate, then you wouldn't expect to see a person like me agreeing with a person I dislike, right? Just in virtue of your hypothesis being true. However, you see that. So therefore, it follows that you must be incorrect when it comes to your assumptions, right? So
I'm
it is
not
going to
motivated.
be just by portraying or to
Do you
test
think throwing
your
off black is gonna
assumptions
save you?
against reality that will do the trick or not. So fuck
got-
you, dude. I gotta
I've got-
go. Fuck
cool.
off.
I was going to say I've got better things to do than argue with someone who asserts a contradiction.
Okay,
Damn.
Tom, you said you heard it. Oh, tell us where. When
Are you
when did I
fucking
say
serious?
that you necessarily lied, or I was asked if it was necessarily the case that you lied, and I said, yeah. Go ahead, tell me where. You fucking liar. piece
Oh
of
my
shit.
god.
What?
Yeah.
I just heard you say it. Where did you say it? In the recording.
Okay, no. Tell me where, because you didn't manage to.
He asked you if it was if you could know if it was necessarily the case if you lied, and you said, yeah,
That's
it's
incorrect.
necessarily.
That's incorrect.
Wait, can we?
That's almost verbatim.
Does anyone know what Does anyone know the exact timestamp? So we just
I
like
could
play
look
it.
at
Yeah,
it.
just put the
It's like a
fucking
Yeah, just
minute
see
in,
where,
then
just
we
see
can
where it
fucking
is, so we
clarify
can
it.
just see where it is, and
hang
we
on.
can play the 2-second timestamp and just like show it.
Sure, go ahead.
Just a kid and a kid play it
Yeah, just play it over and over and over again.
nonstop.
It's necessarily the case. Yeah, it's necessarily the case. Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
necessarily
say.
the case.
I didn't say. I
Okay,
did not
so
say
that-
necessarily. I said necessarily.
It's
No.
140.
You fucking lying
One-
pieces of shit.
So
You
seek
said
the one-
You do this
I
all the
said
time, Tasteless.
Tom lying was necessarily the case. That it was necessarily the case that Tom lied. This is a fucking straw man. You guys are fucking full of shit. Just
I got the
because you're
seek ready
hearing that
whenever you post it.
necessarily doesn't mean that I was referring
Okay,
to
here we
that.
go.
You guys are
Hold on,
portraying
be quiet,
circumstances
Tasteless,
different
they're
I'm
ways.
gonna play it. I'm gonna play it.
Shut up, Tasteless.
Sure.
Clearly doesn't necessarily.
Right? Behavior and the way you act exhibits the intentions behind it, especially when you're talking about
Not
a trend
necessarily.
of actions. Yeah,
That's, an
that's
inductive
necessarily.
inference.
Necessarily. Now you can play dumb, but at the time, you
The
guys,
funny part is this would
assuming
directly
that's the
apply
way
to
you're acting,
Tasteless's intentions
assuming that
on.
right behavior and the way you act,
Fucking whole.
you guys are wrong again.
How could it be
So
wrong?
you just because you're hearing necessarily, you guys,
Hold on, Tasteless. Hold on, Tasteless.
This is how fucking intentions behind it.
This is
Especially when you're talking about
Not
a trend
necessarily.
of actions. Yeah,
That's,
that's
an inductive
necessarily.
inference.
necessarily. Now you can play dumb. At the time.
But you see,
funny
when I
part
say
is this
necessarily,
would directly
assuming
apply
that
to
you're acting,
Tasteless's intentions
assuming that
on
you're acting
siding with
naturally,
people.
and assuming that you're not trying to skew the results, right? Behavior and the way you act exhibits the intentions behind it, especially when you're talking about a trend of actions. Yeah,
That's
that's
an inductive inference.
Necessarily. Now you can play dumb. I mean, that's fine.
That's stupid.
But at the time, really. Now you can play dumb afterwards, and that's fine.
That's stupid.
But at the time,
The funny part is this would directly
assuming about a trend of actions. Yeah,
that's an inductive inference.
Necessarily. Now you can play dumb.
That's
But at the time,
the funny part is this would directly apply.
Hi, Tasteless. You still don't think you said necessarily?
Hey. Nobody said I didn't say necessarily.
Play it back!
Wait,
Play it back!
You're gaslighting.
We're gonna go through an infinite regress of him.
What a trend. Are you going to fucking say it? Yeah,
That's an inductive inference.
The claim was not, hey man, you can play. Have you ever said necessarily? That's fine.
That's stupid.
But wasn't the claim? You said Tom specifically said that the claim in question was that I specifically said that he was necessarily lying, or that somebody asked me if he was necessarily lying. I would say yeah, and that didn't happen.
That just happened. It was an inductive
if you don't
claim.
know what I was referring
Tom
to,
said it was an inductive
tell
claim.
me what I was referring
you said,
to when I was
no,
speaking.
it's a necessary claim.
No. Tell me what I was saying. Tell me what was I trying to explain.
You just did.
Say necessarily. What was I saying, Jovan? No, just tell me, Jovan. What was I saying? Just so I know that you
You're asking what was the context.
What that was
You're asking what was the context. I didn't hear the context right before that. Wasn't
okay, so you just heard necessarily and you assumed that they were correct, didn't you? You fucking piece of shit. So this is what I'm saying.
What do you mean? You said you didn't say necessarily.
You said the word necessarily. Hey,
you literally said I never said necessarily.
No, that's incorrect. Tom specifically said the claim in
I could be wrong.
is
Maybe I heard that wrong. I don't know.
Tasteless said that he necessarily that he, Tom, right, necessarily lied. That was the claim, or that
That's what I thought he said.
And I said yes.
Yeah, he did.
This is what the claim was. This is what you didn't manage to prove. And the fact of the matter is that if you knew and you understand the fucking context in which necessarily was spoken, right, you would realize that you are wrong. I wasn't.
We're gonna go through an infinite redress of Tasteless saying I didn't say that.
No. I said that it is the case that we have.
I didn't say I didn't say that. I didn't say I didn't say I didn't say that.
My friend, you're just self-validating something that is not the case, right? It wasn't the claim wasn't
self-identifying something.
The word necessarily, right? That wasn't the fucking claim, Jovan, right? And you heard the word. It's Tasteless said necessarily.
Let's just make sure. Let's just make sure you never made the claim that you did not say necessarily.
I said necessarily, but it wasn't.
Wait. Let me ask you. Did you never made the claim? You never made the claim that you did not say necessarily.
No, that I never said that Tom lied necessarily, and I said that that wasn't a fucking result of an inference. That was a result of empirical proof, right? So I would never say that fucking Tom lied necessarily. It wasn't about a syllogism. It was a fucking empirical evidence. Now, when I said in the context,
Tasteless, why didn't you answer my question, buddy?
What is the question? What is the question? What is the question? You're trying so hard, man.
No. Did you ever say? Did you ever utter, Tasteless, that you did not say necessarily?
In reference to what I'm saying, yeah.
No, the utterance. Did you ever say that you didn't say the word?
Have I ever said the word necessarily? Yeah, I've said it many times.
No, in that conversation, it's not ever, Tasteless. It's in that conversation.
Of course I did.
You did say that you did not say.
No, I said. God, you guys, you're trying too fucking hard, right? Listen, this is very simple.
Can you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, Jovan.
What am I asking of you? Just one sentence. What am I asking?
You're asking me to say if I denied that at the time I said necessarily, right?
Yes.
But you're not getting it. When I'm saying that, I'm saying that they are referencing that I'm using necessarily to claim that Tom necessarily lied. So in that context, yeah, I said that at the time, and I'm saying the same thing here. And I said the same thing in the middle of this shit, right? So you are just fucking self-deluding
You're missing
maggot
the point.
that you
Missing the
thought that
point.
just because
Missing the
you heard
point.
the
We
utterance
all
necessarily, then you were
look
proven
look.
correct. If you
We
would understand the
listen to
concept,
the record.
the context of this,
Oh my
you will
god,
know
you're not
that I was
understanding.
referring
I'm gonna have
to
to
the
mute you. Jesus Christ. Fucking animal. He's a cornered feral cat. Listen, we all listen to the recording. We know that you really. And by that I mean that you uttered the word necessarily. You said the word necessarily. It's not even, we don't even care about in this context what you meant or the context or any of that. We're talking about, did you say the word necessarily? Now, the claim is that you claimed that you didn't utter the word necessarily at any time. Is that true or false?
During that conversation.
No, dude, I don't know what you're saying now. Listen,
My
you
God.
are now saying
What do you
that
mean
the
you don't know what he's
goal.
saying?
No, listen, Tom. You
Did
claim
you not understand
that
him?
by listening to that recording, what we were going to see was me saying or making a reference to you necessarily lying. Or if somebody asked me that and I said, yeah, right? Now, that was the claim. Now you're saying, now you're moving the goalpost and claiming that, you're trying to make it seem as if just saying necessarily. If I ever said necessarily, yeah, I said necessarily. But that wasn't the fucking context. And it was not referring to you necessarily.
We're
lying.
past that, bro.
Okay.
We're
Okay,
on to
so you
a
agree
meta.
then? Do you agree then?
No.
You don't agree with it. You are fucking dishonest, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't
You
agree
said
with that.
something was going to be proved. You got the recording. It wasn't proved. You are failing to be honest and say, "Yeah, man, I heard incorrectly.
Look,
I
let's
was
play it
wrong when I
again.
said
We'll
that
play it
about
again.
Tasteless."
Let's play it again,
So,
Tom. Play it
motherfucker,
again,
you're
Tom.
just now
Tasteless, just stop for
showing
one second. One second. One
yourself
second,
validating
Tasteless.
fucking
Pogan, what were you talking about was
Clearly,
unfalsifiable?
oh, sorry, I thought you guys wanted it played. What was the question?
What were you talking about that was unfalsifiable?
I
It
was
was with
giving an
Orson, not with
example.
Pogan. It was
I
with
guess I
Orson.
don't get to answer the question. Thank you. I was talking about how like Christianity, as often presented by pre-suppers, is unfalsifiable because then, if you give any disconfirmatory evidence, they'll just post hoc their way out of it, right? They'll make any quote unquote disconfirmatory evidence compatible with their hypothesis.
And Tasteless said that he had evidence. Well, the evidence made it a necessary claim or something like that. Right?
Yeah, right.
No, that's incorrect. You guys are fucking idiots.
What did you say,
You don't
Tasteless?
It
even
wasn't
know.
Warson. It
Listen,
was
Pogan is
about
so fucking
lies.
retarded. So listen, man.
Oh,
Pogan was talking about, and when we were talking about with Pogan, we were talking about, unfalsifiable and why well, it wasn't with Pogan, it was with fucking Orson.
yeah,
right?
Orson
The whole
asked
conversation
No, no,
Tasteless.
no, no, no,
started
no.
with
Wait,
fucking
wait, wait. No,
Orson.
no, 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 no. Look, Jovan's asking about the conversation I was having with you at the beginning of the video, at the beginning of that recording,
Yes.
right?
But
That
that is
then
irrelevant because
transitioned
he
into
fucking wants-
hello. That then transitioned into you saying necessary. That was the question. And I answered correctly by pointing out that you and I were talking about what unfalsifiability even was. And then I gave you an example, the fact that pre-suppers will post hoc their way out of any disconfirmatory evidence.
Jesus, man. Listen, I give up, dude. You guys are too much. You guys are just, beyond.
Look, just play it again when we'll add 20 seconds.
Well,
Play it again, we'll get 20
115.
seconds.
Believe whatever you want.
115
man. At
is
this
where
point,
Orson
I
says,
couldn't-
do you think Tom ever lies? So let me see what happens after that.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably transcribe it and like use the captions or something. to
Oh,
get him
oh
to
fuck,
the
let's
point.
just start at one.
Start at
let's just start at
110. Start at 110.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah.
Can you play the video? I'll seek it.
Yeah, it should work now. Try.
To be honest, it's just
Right. What it means is that
going to be true or false.
Tasteless, do you think that Tom has ever lied?
Yeah, of course.
That's unfalsifiable.
That's incorrect.
What the hell do you mean dishonesty?
Oh, you have a
Do you
way
have
to
access to
analyze
his
my intentional
intentions?
states?
Yeah.
How?
Well, you basically yesterday. Well, intentions are exhibited on
Quite hard.
behavior, right? Behavior and the way you act exhibits the intentions behind it, especially when you're talking about
Not
a trend
necessarily.
of actions. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
an
that's
inductive
necessarily.
inference.
Necessarily. Now you can play dumb,
There it is.
There it is.
but at the time,
It's perfectly within
There
context.
it is.
Perfectly within context.
This is
Tasteless,
the
so you wait. Let's just
worst
make sure.
polling.
Tasteless, you did not say necessarily in reference to the claim that Tom lied. Tasteless?
so listen. When I said yes, right? When I answered Orson yes,
Oh no.
right? It wasn't. Listen. He's saying it is unfalsifiable, right? But my understanding is that if Tom accepts that he lied, that is proof for him lying. Now, when it
What?
comes to intentions, listen. When
You
people
could just be
claim that
lying,
intentions,
Tasteless.
it doesn't matter. Listen. When people claim that we don't have access to intentions, I fundamentally think that is incorrect. Now, I was trying to make the case.
Jesus.
I was trying to make the case, right? Let's say, for instance, Jovan, if you at the time that you're exhibiting behavior, you are not aware that your behavior is going to be, scrutinized, right? Then we can definitely assess intention in regards to your actions, and we have plenty of data that we can, study for us to draw very reasonable conclusions when it comes to your intentions. Now, that is a separate issue, right? That is a separate issue, right? Of you actually trying, let's say, for instance, if I were to say, well, if you were to know that your activity would be, subjected to scrutiny, that would be unfalsifiable because you could skew your behavior in a way that is misleading, right? But assuming that is not the case,
Except if you're asked if you're lying.
but that is besides the point. I mean, when I was answering the question of Orson, right, it wasn't like a fucking an argument. It wasn't like in virtue of us having a syllogism that Tom lied. It is in virtue of him saying that he lied. Now, if he said, well, but that he can't be lying about that. Well, no, because it correlates exactly what we'd expect of a lie. Now, if he's going to be dishonest about it, say, oh, no, I'm lying about lying about lying about lying, I don't give a fuck, right? All that we care is just the evidence, the hard evidence, whether he was just being dishonest. And at the time that he said what he said, his intentions, were to fool the person in front of him. Now, you can claim whatever you want, beyond that, right? And that was the point. Now, when people are saying, oh, as an objection, oh, we don't have an ability to fucking, access to intentions. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. That's my position, but that's a different point, right? It is not that that fucking Tom necessarily lied because of a fucking argument or some rule. It is going to be, in the case of Tom, him accepting that he lied, right? And him accepting that he was being misleading when he did the agreement. That it was an admission of this.
Didn't.
Okay, so
So
when I answer
we
the
we can
question,
think of situations in which that holds to be true, but he didn't lie, right? We can think of situations in which
doesn't
Tom was
matter, of course,
delusional.
but it is irrelevant, right?
What do you mean? That's not necessarily the case.
But it is irrelevant, dude. What I'm trying to tell you is it is irrelevant. For a guy to say, no, but listen, Your Honor, are there circumstances in which, murders can happen and the person, didn't intend it to be the case? Yeah, it doesn't matter, motherfucker. We have the evidence that you actually did, right? So what's the difference?
What?
Well, but it is not necessarily the case, Your Honor.
You wouldn't say it's
I
necessarily
don't
the
give a
case that
fuck,
they did that.
because we're trialing you to say that you definitely knew what you were doing.
Yeah, but we wouldn't
Fuck
say it's
off with your
necessarily
fucking-
the case. Tasteless,
Oh,
you're
it is
using the
not
term.
necessarily the case, Your
You're
Honor.
using the
Don't
term.
put me in jail, Your Honor. Oh, Your Honor.
The honor would
you're a fucking
agree to that. He's like,
badass
yes, it's not necessarily
motherfucker.
the case, but we're putting you in jail anyway,
Of
inductively.
course. So you bringing that objection is just absurd, right?
You
It
just
doesn't
agreed
have
with me.
fucking-
You just agreed with me, Tasteless.
It doesn't matter, Jovan. You can say
That
listen,
contradicts what you've been
if you're
saying.
going to trial a person for actually committing something, the evidence shows that was the case. Him going, oh, I could have been the case that I was lying.
Tasteless, do you know what
What the
inductive
fuck are you
versus
even talking about?
deductive is?
It doesn't matter, Jovan. What part are you
Yeah,
not getting?
let's
That
try
in this case, it is irrelevant, right?
That's
Okay, so
actually
let
a
me ask.
very
Okay,
good.
let's
That's actually a
explore that.
very good
Okay,
point.
let's
Char.
explore that. What is
There
your
seems to
position?
be something. There seems to be something other than Tom's admission that he's appealing to. Maybe his own personal fifis, or his own subjective judgment over what Tom is saying. Not some necessary. Go ahead, Tasteless.
Okay, let me ask you something, Jovan. So when you're saying, "Hey, Tasteless," it could have been the case, right, that Tom was lying about lying about lying, right? Yeah. So what? What's the entailment there? What follows from it?
That it doesn't follow. That it doesn't necessarily follow that because Tom said he lied, that he lied. That's what
Yeah,
you should
yeah.
get from
But
that.
what's the entailment of it? I mean, what's the
That's
conclusion
he
that
just
we need
told you.
to grab from
That's
it?
He
I mean,
just told you.
how? What follows from it?
I'll tell you again, as clear as day. What follows from it is that it is not necessarily the case that I lied.
Therefore, what?
What do you mean, therefore? That's it.
But why is that important? You're trying to draw a conclusion based on that premise.
You
Right?
think that inference is the
If
same
it's
as
not
having access to
necessarily the
someone's intentions,
case, then
Tasteless.
it must be the case that we don't really know if he lied. That is the intention, isn't it? That is the conclusion you're trying to draw, isn't it?
Tasteless. What? I don't understand. What version of necessary are you using?
Jovan, motherfucker, let me ask you something. If it wasn't necessarily, what follows?
I don't know what you mean by necessary. You could
What
mean dog.
follows
You
if
could
it
mean
was necessarily
dog.
the case?
Tasteless. Just tell me
Let
what
me
you
ask
mean
you
by
something.
necessary.
If you find something in which it was necessarily the case, what
I don't know what you mean when you say necessary. You might as well be saying blah blah. Tasteless. Tell me what you mean by necessary.
whatever you mean by necessarily, that's what I
Not
mean.
me. Okay, I mean dog. So you just mean dog there?
Listen, Jovan, don't be dishonest. When you're
I'm being
saying, and when you're
dishonest.
bringing the objection that well, it is not necessarily the case, right? You're using necessarily in a way that has a meaning. Now, I want to know the opposite. What is the entailment of
But
something under your
I've
view being necessarily the
explained.
case?
I've explained how it's not in my view. Now I'm asking you what your view of
God damn it,
necessary
man!
is.
Stop being dishonest, Jovan, please, man.
Oh my God.
Okay. So when you're
How am I
saying
being dishonest?
tasteless as an objection, tasteless, that is not necessarily the case, right? That Tom, accepting he lied, is actually true. It's actually, real, right?
Yeah, if you
You're
were to
saying
say
that.
something like, if Tom says that he lies, therefore he's lying, I would say, Tasteless, that's not necessarily true.
Yeah. But let's say,
Would you agree with
okay,
me,
Joe,
Tasteless? Would you
look,
agree with
yeah, of
that?
course I would agree with you. Listen,
Oh
it
my
is not
God.
about, listen, we're not trying to find out whether it is necessarily the case or not. This is not what follows. I am asking you, right, under your interpretation of what necessarily is or not, tell me what is the entailment for it. I am just conceding that it is not necessarily the case that he lied, right? My question is what follows from that.
That you can't make the claim that he necessarily lied
Okay, so
based off that
okay,
evidence.
and what follows?
That is it, Tasteless.
No, what do you mean?
You
No,
can
no,
still,
that
Tasteless,
is not it.
you can
No,
still
no,
make,
that is
Tasteless,
not
you can
it.
still make inductive claims if you like, right?
No,
You
no,
can
but
say,
that is not it, Jovan. That is not it, right? That is not it.
okay.
Don't lie. Don't lie to say, oh, that is it. No, that is not it,
What am I lying
right?
about, Tasteless?
Okay. Well, you're saying that that is it, but that is not it. You're basically saying that since we cannot, I mean, it could be the case, it could be one way or another, then we don't know. Is that what you're claiming, Jovan? Is that what you're claiming, Jovan?
No, it's not that it can be one way or another, Tasteless. It's that
Uh-huh.
the fact that he said that he was lying does not necessitate that he was lying. That's all we're saying.
Okay, let's say that is the case. Let's say that you want
Then you
this is
agree with us.
important to you.
The
This is
conversation's
important to you.
over.
What follows from that line of reasoning, Joe?
That you
Falls
can't.
that when I said that I was lying, it's not necessarily the case that I was.
So a person rapes another person, right? Is there a possible universe in which this could have not happened? Yeah, it could be. I mean, so it is not necessarily the case that he raped her. Yeah, well, no, it's not necessarily the case. Okay, so what? Yeah, I just wanted to know that, right? That it's not necessarily the case. I'm satisfied. This is what you're saying, Joe.
Yeah, Tasteless. If you said in every world he raped her in any situation, I'd say
Then
that's
it
not
must be the case
necessarily
that
the
he
case.
raped her, right?
What?
Then it must be the case. If it is necessary, then it must be the case.
If
So
it's
nothing to argue
necessary,
here, right?
well, it depends. Tasteless, what do you mean by necessary? Can you just tell me that?
I already told you, you stupid idiot.
No, you didn't. You said what I
Okay.
mean by it, but that doesn't tell me what you mean by it.
Well, for something to be necessarily the case, it means that there is no other possibility for it to happen based on the rules of induction that you're following. So it must be the
Induction?
case that There is no, yeah, you're following laws. You're following certain rules for you to determine that something is necessarily the case. What? No, 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 no. I'm saying the rules, right? Is what determines what something must follow necessarily. It is in virtue of us knowing and being acquainted. Okay, motherfucker, how did you know that something is necessarily the case? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Don't fucking bring me some jargon. Explain what you mean by that.
Tell me what
You
energetic
don't
truth
know.
means.
Dude,
Jurgen,
you don't fucking
Jurgen's
know.
lotion.
You're fucking up in your mouth. What do you mean by analytic?
What's a Jurgen? What's a Jurgen?
Shut your
Lotion,
fucking ass. Tell
lotion
me
you
what do you
jerk off
mean
with.
by it is analytic. What do
Is
you
that
mean?
like is that a jacket in Mexico? A Jurgen?
What do you mean? Don't fucking buy time reading this shit. You're opening your mouth, so you must fucking know, don't you? Yeah, shut your fucking ass, you bitch. Right? If you don't fucking have the goods, right? If you don't fucking have the goods, if you don't understand what you're saying, if you cannot bring some fucking clarity to what you're saying, then don't fucking open your fucking mouth.
Tasteless. Do you know who Immanuel Kant was?
Dude, dude,
Have you read any of it?
yeah, no, I haven't. You know, who is he?
Oh fuck.
Didn't they already explain to you what it means for something to be necessary like 5 times?
So
When
are
I
you
went
saying
over,
are you saying that unless you know this from any author, then it follows that you don't know? You can know from other means?
no,
You
No,
cannot
you can know
know
what
about this
analytics and
from
well,
other
no,
means?
Tasteless. You
What
can
is
know
your
what
fucking argument? Fucking
Tasteless. You can know what analytic synthetic means from other sources, but Kant is usually a relatively
Oh no
decent.
no no! Let's fucking grant that I don't have any fucking knowledge about this shit. Is it the only
we'll
way to
grant
access
that.
this knowledge, motherfucker? Is it the way? Is it the only way to get the same conclusions? Who said that? It was Stupid Joe. It was Stupid Joe. Something.
I
It was.
take it. I take it that
Who
for you
said
to
that
know
stuff?
what words mean, you have to have access to their
I don't
content.
give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. If
Mm.
you're
Well,
not dumb enough to
hold on,
say
Tasteless.
this
Didn't
shit,
they already
who
explain
said
to
it?
you?
Was dumb fucking something? God damn it.
Didn't they already explain it to you though? Like when
It
I was.
doesn't matter. So Chum
What do you
was
mean
not
it doesn't
able to
matter?
say it. So you must know. I'm assuming you do know, right, Joe?
Me? You're
Tell
asking
me.
me?
Tell me.
Right.
Yeah, right. So
Tasteless.
Joe,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I just want to
So
know
it's
this.
necessarily
carry
true.
the
Tasteless.
fucking weight.
I'm about to say it
Tasteless,
right
there's
now.
wait,
fucking
Tasteless.
responsibility
Oh my
was
God.
you take it, motherfucker. You seem to
Tasteless,
know.
let me
about
see
this.
if you can answer
Why
this
don't you
question.
fucking explain us?
I'm about to.
What is what determines that something be necessary
I-
or
I-
not? Go
I-
ahead, Sunset. We listen to you.
Okay, it's something that's necessarily the case if it's true in all possible worlds.
What determines?
Oh
that something is-
no!
Whoa! I want to know, motherfucking Joe, since you understand this shit. What makes something? What makes something to be possible in all possible worlds?
It's irrelevant to what he
What
said.
criterion are you utilizing to determine what is to be considered true on another possible world or not, motherfucker?
It doesn't entail contradiction.
Where's the contradiction? is there someone telling what things are going
I
to
love
be?
Joe so much.
Tell me, how do you know that there is a contradiction or not? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you're trying to assess whether or not something's necessarily the case. So you have
How
to.
do you know whether a contradiction took place or not?
Well, you give the example, we figure out if there's a contradiction.
How do
Is
we know?
Tasteless trying to say that
No.
you find
Tell
a
me what
contradiction
are
in
the
the world?
standard or
Yeah,
the
Tasteless.
rules we are going to
Tasteless, I can
utilize
give
in
you
order
an
for us to
example.
know that something is
I can
actually
give you an
possible.
example. I can give you an example, Tasteless.
Joe, tell us what the fuck it
I
is.
can give you an example,
Joe,
Tasteless.
tell us.
That's great.
I am waiting, motherfucker.
Oh,
I
sorry.
am waiting.
I'm dumb. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead,
Shut
Joe.
your fucking ass. I'm dealing with Joe,
give the
right?
example.
So,
I'm
Joe,
sorry.
tell us what the rules are that are going to determine whether something contradicts itself or not. Tell me, what is it that determines that?
What determines whether or not it's a contradiction? Well, like I
Yeah.
answered you already.
Yeah.
You would have to give me an example, and we'll figure out if it's a contradiction or not.
How do you know there's a contradiction there, my friend? What
Why are you
rules
asking
are you
the same
going to
question
use
that I've
to
already
determine
answered?
whether a contradiction took place or not?
Why are you asking the same question when I've
Just
answered
answer
it?
the goddamn question.
I
Right?
did.
Because you're not
That was
answering
my
it.
answer.
No. You saying blah blah doesn't mean you answering the question.
But I
Oh my
didn't just say
God.
blah blah.
Standard are you going to use to determine whether a contradiction took place or not? Whether you know actually that a contradiction took place or not.
Look, I told you already like 3 times.
No.
Jovan, go on
Right?
with what you're gonna say because he's just acting like I didn't answer him.
I am
Tasteless.
asking about what rules determine what something is a contradiction or not. Go ahead.
Tasteless, he's already explained to you 3 times.
Okay, you explain it. You explain it, Jovan. Go ahead.
Tasteless, give me a concept that you think's a contradiction.
Hey, I am asking a very direct
No, we're gonna
question.
walk this
Oh,
through like you're a
Jesus.
Can
child.
you repeat the
Tasteless.
question,
No,
Jovan?
no.
Can you repeat it? In order for you to say that he answered it, you must fucking know what the question was,
Tasteless,
don't you? So tell me what was the question, you fucking idiot.
Tasteless,
Tell me what was the question. Don't tell me that he already fucking satisfied it. Tell me what the fucking question was.
We're gonna walk you.
Shut
We're
your
gonna walk
fucking
you
ass.
through
Tell me
this.
what the
We're
question
gonna
was.
walk you through this like
Tell
you're a
me,
child.
no.
okay?
Don't give me explanations.
You-
Tell me what the fucking
you-
question was.
Just explain something
You
to me.
tell
Don't give
me
explanation.
what you think a contradiction. You tell me. You give me an example of a contradiction. Then we're
Well,
gonna
listen,
walk through why
you
you
don't
think
know
it's a
what the question
contradiction.
was.
Okay?
You don't know, right? You don't know what the question was.
Tasteless, tell me again.
Was
an
the question
example of
was,
a
hey man,
contradiction.
what is a contradiction? No. That wasn't the question, was it? So you don't know what the question is, and you're saying that he already did answer the question, right?
The question
You
is
don't have
what
the
makes it
fucking idea
necessary or
what the
not.
question
The
is,
question
and yet
is
you're
what
claiming
makes it
that he already
necessary,
did answer the
Tasteless.
goddamn question. You don't know
Tasteless,
what
your
the question
question is.
was, right? You don't know
I'm
what the
telling you
question
your
is
question.
fucking
I'm
referring
telling it
to.
to you.
You don't know about this shit, right?
The question.
Yet you're opening your fucking
Tasteless, I'm
mouth,
telling you the question.
right? You know, oh, he did fucking
If you
answer.
stop talking for 2
fucking
seconds, I'll
idiot.
tell you it.
Fucking idiot, dude.
The
Fucking
question was
goddamn
what
idiot.
makes it necessary, Tasteless. That's
No,
the
that is not
question,
the
right?
question. No,
Oh my
that is
God,
not
that's the question.
That is not the question, you dumb fuck.
All right, tell me the question. And tell me how it's different from that question.
So, in order for us to know, we must necessarily use some sort of standard. We need some rule for us to tell, hey man, this is going against what it's supposed to be. Now, I want you to tell me what are those rules.
So what makes
that
it
tell
necessary,
you how
Tasteless?
things are supposed to be, motherfucker. I want to know the answer to this question. And I'm still waiting for fucking dumb.
So what
nonsense
makes it
to answer
necessary
this,
is that
motherfucker. So you better step off, right? And get the fuck out of the way, Jovan.
Tasteless, is that not the same as saying what makes it
Why
necessary?
do you fucking have to white knight for some Johnson?
How is that different?
Johnson and I were having a fucking conversation, and you're
No, we
getting in the
weren't.
fucking
It's you
way.
yelling. It's you yelling when I've
Get
answered
the
your
fucking
question.
out of the get the fucking out of the
Okay,
way.
I'll
Jovan.
get out. Okay, fine.
Are you Jovan? No. So Sonsid, you have plenty of time to research this. Give me my fucking answer.
Dude, I told you. Give me an example and I'll show you how it's a contradiction.
Was that the question?
What's the question?
You're dodging it. So you cannot answer the question, Joe. Hey, Sonsid, you don't have what it takes to answer the question. Is this what you're saying, Sonsid? That you're so fucking a dishonest piece of shit, right? That you either don't want to answer the question or you don't have the information.
So what's your question?
This is what you're saying, right?
What's your question?
I already stated, but here it goes once again because
No, actually, hold on. Hold on a second.
Everyone, I don't want you. I don't want you to play
Tasteless,
dumb.
shut up for a second.
I don't
Shut
want
up.
you to act like.
Can someone mute him?
Tasteless, we're gonna stop you for 1 second, dude. Let Joe speak. Go ahead, Joe.
Since he thinks that he's repeated this over and over again, and what he's saying is like clear cut, black and white. Could someone else in the room tell me what his question was?
So let me ask you something.
Can anyone in the room do it?
Instead of asking, "Hey man, I don't understand the question,"
Can
or
anyone
"I didn't
do it?
understand
He
the question,"
initially wanted to know what
you
analytic
fucking
meant.
dishonestly went ahead and said that you did answer my goddamn question, even though you didn't know what the fucking question was.
I did answer the
right?
question. I answered. You
Right.
asked me, how do I
Right.
know if something's
So
necessarily
what was
the
my
case? I
question
answered
then?
it.
What was my question? If you answered it
I just told
satisfactorily,
you.
what was the
Jesus
question then?
I
Christ,
just told
Tasteless.
you. I just told you right now. You're not even listening for the answer, Tasteless.
Okay, give me the question. What was the question?
Give you the question. What? No.
Yeah, what was the question?
You asked, how do I know if something's necessarily the case? And I told
That's
you.
incorrect. That wasn't the goddamn question.
Why did I bring
Wrong
up possible
fucking-
worlds?
So
I don't
listen,
understand how that's
at
any
this
different than
point,
your
you
question,
guys are
Tasteless.
fucking-
That
what
actually
Joe
was
just
what he was
said.
This fucking teacher is
Yeah, what
asking
Joe
the
just
question.
said is exactly what you
No,
said,
motherfucker,
Tasteless.
I'm pissing all over your fucking face, right?
But just
And you're
because he
acting
words
so
it, it's like
arrogantly and so fucking dishonestly, right? That you know that you're not fucking answering a goddamn question, either because
Tasteless
you're
is
too
about to
dumb
peace out.
to
I
understand
guarantee
the
it.
goddamn
He's
question,
about to just
or
peace out.
you don't have
Look,
the fucking decency, and fucking you're not honestly. You're saying, "Hey man,
Tasteless,
I didn't
look,
understand the question," right? You
look,
fucking
Tasteless,
are dishonest.
would you
pieces of
let me
shit.
answer you instead of just like crying? Look, Tasteless, if you weren't asking me how do I know something's necessarily the case, then I don't know what you were
I
asking.
didn't ask that, right? I didn't.
Okay,
ask
then
that.
you're probably asking something stupid that no one's interested in.
The crazy thing is, though, Joe, he did ask that question. He's asked that question three times and then said you didn't answer it after you answered it. It's so weird.
Exactly. I think I did answer his question,
So let's
but
calm
now
down,
he
right?
now
Let's
all of a
calm down.
sudden he's
You
acting
said-
as if I'm. Hold on, Tasteless. I'm not done talking. Like now, all of a sudden, he's acting as if we were never talking about what does it mean for something to be necessarily the case.
Right.
He's acting like that wasn't the discussion when I went away for 5 minutes
Of course,
ago.
that wasn't the
when I
discussion,
came back.
but that wasn't the question.
Wait,
was it?
what?
That wasn't the question, and I can tell you the fucking. Listen, man, you're
Do
so
it
fucking
again.
dumb.
Tell us the question,
I
then
am
tell us.
going
Wait,
to-
listen,
let's calm
Tasteless,
down,
stop
let's
talking
calm
for 1
down.
second. 1 second. Wait, Tasteless, I'm sorry I had to mute you just for 1 second, buddy. Okay, this is all we want you to do. Okay, all we want you to do is tell us your question and then explain to us succinctly how that question is different than saying what it means to be necessary. Okay, please just do that for us.
So, Jovan, I am not going to do that for you. I
Oh
am
my
going
God.
to do what needs to be done.
What?
So, listen.
So you're not going to participate in the conversation,
no,
honestly.
I am going to, but I'm going to exhibit your.
You're not going to
fucking
explain
honesty
to your
as
interlocutor
well
what
in-
is
Hey,
different between the question that they're answering and the
I am going
question
to
that you're
destroy your
asking.
fucking ass whether you like it or not, right? Shut your fucking ass. I know you're trying to prevent me from this, from saying what I'm about to say.
Yes,
and
I am
you remember
terrified that you're going to wreck
how we
Joe. I
got
am just
that fucking
shaking in my
question
boots.
fucking answered. So shut your fucking ass and let me
I'm
do
so
this.
afraid right now, you guys.
So, dude, it is very simple. Joe said that something wasn't a contradictions, right? Something wasn't, necessarily the case. If it wasn't possible, if it was impossible, in
No,
no
you
possible
fucked
words.
that up. You
Now-
messed that up.
Now, and I said, Joe, right? And do you remember this, right? And I said, Joe,
Well, Tasteless, do you want
what
Joe to
makes
correct
it-
that real
okay,
quick?
How do
That
you
wasn't
know
true.
that something
Tasteless.
you're interrupting me? And I said, Joe, how do you know that something is possible or is impossible on all possible worlds? What
No, you didn't
rules are
ask
you
that, actually.
following to determine whether something is possible or impossible in all possible worlds? Now, he said, what did you say, Joe? What was your response
I'm not
to
gonna
that?
fucking help you ramble.
What was your response there,
I'm
Joe?
not gonna fucking help you ramble.
Oh, just go ahead and
No,
just give me the
fucking
response
earn
that you
your
gave at the
meal.
time.
Earn your
give
meal
the
right
same
now.
response because therefore it follows my question. So go ahead. What did you answer then?
Look, if you
What
think
was your
that-
answer then?
No,
What
I'm not gonna
was
tell
your
you.
answer there? You fucking coward.
I'm not
Answer the
gonna
goddamn
tell you
question,
if
be
you-
honest and
Look,
answer the goddamn question. So I
Look,
can
Tasteless-
then pose the
Tasteless-
real question that you're supposed to answer. You fucking bitch. Right?
Tasteless,
Answer
if
what
don't
you
even
answered
know
me
what-
at the
if you
time.
don't even know what I said. How do you know that I got it wrong?
No.
fuck.
It doesn't matter whether you got it wrong. I just want
Wait,
an honest
what?
answer of what you responded to my question of how do you know whether something is possible or not on all possible words.
You don't
What
remember
is
what
your
I
answer?
said? You were just saying how
remember
it was wrong.
Remember it. Remember
What was
I
it?
never said you
Tasteless,
were
go
wrong.
ahead.
No, I never said you were wrong.
Yes, you
answered
did.
something. What did you answer?
Tasteless,
Just
you
stop
honestly
being
don't
afraid.
remember?
Say, be
Help
a
me,
man.
please.
Be a man and answer what
You
you answered then.
honestly don't remember.
Doesn't matter, man. Yeah, let's say I don't remember. Joe,
Dude, you're
go
high
ahead
or something.
and answer what is
I'm
the,
not
what is the
answering
answer
until
to
you
that
say-
question?
No.
Because that is not the real question you were supposed to answer. Give me what your answer was to how do you know whether something is possible or impossible in all possible worlds?
Tasteless, how can you say that it's not that I didn't answer the question if you don't even know what I said?
Yeah. You're being dishonest now, right?
Yeah.
Your balls are shrinking to this question. You're trying to
Tasteless,
dodge
the
this
only
motherfucker
reason- hold on,
because you
Tasteless,
know
the
where I'm
only
going
reason-
with this,
Tasteless,
and
the
you're terrified
only-
to get there, right? You
the
fucking
only
idiot. You're
reason you
terrified to
know why my
show what
phone-
a retard you
Tasteless, I'm
are
not done
when
talking.
you gave me a fucking
I
answer
can't-
that wasn't
can't talk
supposed
with
to
him
be
like
an
this.
answer to the question. You fucking
Tasteless-
asshole. You
Tasteless,
Sunsies
the
are
only
one of the
reason-
most retarded motherfuckers around, right? And these dishonest individuals, right, are just following along with all of you dishonest pieces of shit, right? You strawman people, you try to impose and say shit that I didn't say, right? And then you're dishonest when actually being confronted, right, with the shit that you didn't even understand, right?
This
You're
is
accusing me that I
hilariously
don't understand
ironic.
what it means, yet you're not able to account for what you're saying is the case,
No,
right?
Tasteless,
This is
I
how
know
fucking
exactly what
dishonest you are, dude.
Tasteless, I know exactly what I said. It's just funny that you don't remember what I said when you were just whinging,
Yeah, man.
absolutely
I'm sorry, man. This
Tasteless. I'm
conversation,
not done talking.
you
Tasteless,
motherfucker,
you were absolutely
dishonest people.
crying like a little girl about how what I said was incorrect, but now you don't even remember. You just have these canned responses. You just go, "Oh, I'm talking with Joe right now." Well, guess what? He's going to be wrong about no matter what he says, even though I'm not paying attention to what he says. And now that you didn't pay attention to what I say, you want me to repeat it so you can tell me how I was wrong, anyways. You
That's
didn't even
incorrect.
listen to what I said. So,
Listen,
okay,
the
well, what did
reality,
I
the
say? Go
reality.
ahead. What did I say,
You
Tasteless?
said,
No,
you said
Tasteless,
because it
the
was
words out
contradiction
of
of
your
what
mouth.
was being said.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You said that because of what the things that you said was phrased, what the rules were that you were trying to.
I didn't mention rules. You're the ones who
That's
bring
what
up.
you
You're the
said.
one who
Okay,
brought up
you
rules
did.
and
You didn't
standards.
say that. Okay, so maybe I'm incorrect. What did you answer then?
What did I answer for what?
For how do you know whether things are possible or impossible in other?
Let's see. You see if there's a contradiction.
I just want to know, Joe. Just answer the question.
Yeah, that's what I said. And
That
like,
was the one of the, not the last one, but I don't know.
I don't
No, it
get what
doesn't
you're
matter. I
asking for
just
now.
answer the
'Cause I
question.
actually answered your question.
Just answer the question. How do
I
you know?
did.
No, no,
How
no.
do I
I know
know?
you
Well,
did. I know you did. I misremember your answer, Sunset. So go ahead and tell me. Listen, because
He
the
said it
intention of me
6
knowing this.
times in a row.
Listen, Joe. The intention of me knowing this is not to tell you you're wrong. It is not to tell you you're wrong. It is to tell you what the actual question was as a result of your answer there.
Tessa,
Because
it
maybe I'm
doesn't seem
incorrect.
like you care about the answer, dude.
Who's talking?
Tasteless, did you turn down chum?
Oh, yeah. No, I don't give a fuck about chump. So listen, man. In this case,
He's right now, Tasteless. He's saying that he already gave
so,
you like
so,
all these
so
answers.
Joe, it is not that I'm going to say that you're incorrect. It is that I'm going to ask a follow-up question to your answer, right? So this is what
Yeah,
I
he
want. No,
said. I
I
think he
know,
did say he
chum.
hasn't turned
I
down.
just have selective hearing. I'm sorry, dude. So,
Oh, that.
Joe, that is irrelevant. So Joe, what I wanted is to
Damn,
get
look
to
at
the
that
part
sexy ass
when
picture of Joe.
I asked you the real
Where? Hold
question
on.
you were supposed to answer. This wasn't the one. So no matter what your answer is, dude, I just want an answer. So maybe
Oh, I'm
I'm
actually looking
misremembering
it
what you
now.
answered to this question. So I want to know, how do you know things are possible or impossible in all possible worlds? Go ahead.
I wasn't paying attention because
Joe,
I'm looking at all these pictures of me.
did you see the gift, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't have the answer then.
I
You're
like
just
that.
not.
I
You
like
could have
that.
answered this very simply,
I
but I
like
don't
that
know
he
why
took.
you're terrified of
I
answering this.
like that. I like that he because well, I already answered that. Tasteless.
Well, if you did, well, remember me. What
No,
was there?
tasteless. But you just admitted that you have selective hearing, so like you have to
Oh, so you're dodging, huh? That's fine, man. I mean, you could have
wait.
answered
No,
this
no. That
question
just means
very
that
simply,
you
but
should.
you're
You should.
terrified of what follows because you already know what
Tasteless.
I'm already
That just
asked.
means that you should
Follow.
appreciate the fact that you don't actually listen to the answers that people give you.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter, man. At this
Yes,
point,
it does matter because you keep
all I
on asking
wanted
for the
is an
answers,
honest
but
answer
you don't
from
listen
you,
to them.
and then I can pose the real question, right? Because I was trying to get to, there is a series of rules that we pay attention to in order for us to know, right, whether a contradiction was made or happened or didn't happen. Now, you're dishonest and you don't want to get there, right? And I understand, Chauncey, that you're terrified about this shit and you're a dishonest piece of shit.
So
That's fine.
tasteless. What
Right?
does it mean
That's a
that the
given,
only
right?
time tasteless?
You
What
don't
does
have
it mean
an intellectual
tasteless?
integrity for you to
Tasteless, you're
actually answer
interrupting
the
me.
questions that
Stop
are proposed,
interrupting me. Tasteless,
right?
stop interrupting me.
I wasn't done. But
Tasteless,
then again,
stop
regardless,
interrupting me.
oh,
Tasteless. Okay, tasteless. What does it mean for you that every time you feel like you're losing a debate, it's merely because your opponent's dishonest? It doesn't mean that you're good at logic. It doesn't mean that you're good at arguing. It's just, oh, your opponent's being dishonest. That just shows that you're a shitty debater and a poor reasoner.
I've actually made so far an actual account of what happened, right? I am not trying to mischaracterize your, your responses. I am not trying to mischaracterize your positions. I'm actually giving you the opportunity to say what you said for your. I don't want to misconstrue or misrepresent what you said. And what do you do in face of a fucking honest discussion? You fucking act like a coward, right? You will fucking act like a coward. You will dodge the questions. I already fucking answered it. A fucking dishonest interlocutor. And don't fucking try to pretend that you're not, Sunset, because nobody's buying it. You are a dishonest faggot. So stop all the pretenses that you have any fucking.
Bye, Tasteless. Bye bye.
Oh shit. Tasteless.
Suicide by mod.
Suicide by mod. Tasteless.
What did he say?
He used the
F-word. He called
Tasteless.
muted.
Called him a dishonest F word.
So banned or muted?
Muted.
Just mute.
Okay.
That's not. It's a mistake. He could be muted for now.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Not an auto ban.
Here comes Fia to enforce legalism.
I gotta tell you though, Tom. I gotta tell you, in no other Discord server would we get a guy who says he didn't say something. You show him the recording where he said something, and then he says, "Well, I said that, but I actually didn't say it, and you're fucking all assholes." Never enough.
It doesn't
No, what
matter
he said
that he
is
said it.
he didn't say that he didn't say it. Oh, fuck.
That guy spins like a top. Only in this place will we find such a fellow.
Yeah, he's like your mother in that way.
Oh.
Only Tasteless.
At least I knew which one of them my mother was.
Only Tasteless would like yell at you for being dishonest and not answering the question with what you said to him last. But then he would insist on asking you what was it that you said because he couldn't remember.
Does Tasteless legit not know the analytic synthetic distinction?